called Stop Paying for BS in Your Business. How to stop paying for BS in your business. I want to talk a little bit about what you shouldn't really be paying for in your business. Well, hello, friends. I hope that you're having a marvelous Monday. Lindsay, I see that you're here live. You said hello. Hello. Thanks so much for tuning in. I just tried to go live a second ago, and I didn't think it was working, so I stopped the video. And then I went back and looked afterwards, and it turns out it was working. So if you were here and you got cut off, apologies about that. I'm trying something a little bit new, and I'm going to be doing these live, like mini trainings every Monday. So mark it on your calendar. I'm going to try to do it noon each Monday for the next several weeks. And on today's, we're talking about not paying for BS. So this is something that I've talked about on my podcast before, but I wanted to bring it to you here in the Facebook group for a little bit of a refresher, because this is something that I've been talking to some people about recently. And what I mean by not paying for BS, obviously, we could be talking about all sorts of stuff. We could be talking about like bullshit groceries. We could be talking about who knows what. But I'm specifically talking about paying for things to help form your business that are totally unnecessary, or, just to be frank with you, like a huge ripoff. So I'm going to give you just some examples here. One example is your EIN. So if you're not familiar with your EIN stands for your employment identification number, or employer identification number, EIN. It's like your business's social security number. And EINs are free to get. You get them through the IRS website. You have to do it during their business hours. And it's pretty simple. You go on there, they ask you, what's your name? What's your business name? What are your business operations? You punch a few buttons, you hit submit, you click to receive it right away. And you get that like instantaneously through the IRS. You do not have to pay for it. There are online services. Maybe I should say names, but I'm not going to say names. You can go Google them. There are online services that charge $80, $100 to do your EIN for you, which is BS. Like, why would they charge you to do something that's free? Usually, if we're going to pay for something that's already free, what we'd be paying for is convenience. But in this context, like, convenience doesn't make any sense, because if we're going to go to insert company name here to get our EIN, they're going to have to ask us our name, our social security number, our business name, what our business does, because they need all the same information that the IRS needs in order to complete the application. So you're literally just filling that out on one website, paying them money for them to go, I don't know, like punch in some magic algorithm numbers, I'm not even sure, and duplicate that onto the IRS website for you. So it doesn't make any sense to pay for that. You do it on your own. So this is one example. Another example are things like labor law posters. After you form your own LLC, what inevitably happens, this is going to also happen after you get your business license, you're going to get some spam mail. And I see this for my students all the time. They send me photos, they upload photos to our Facebook group, and they're things like, oh, you need to do this thing, it's $500. You need to do that thing, it's $200. And they give themselves names to make themselves sound really official, so that you think it's coming from some sort of government body that has some kind of power. So you think, oh shit, like this is clearly I need to do this. I must have forgot about it. So then you send in a check and you get these nonsense posters back. So really you're like buying something off of them, but they're making it sound like a legal obligation, and you don't need to be doing that. This is why you have to have a really, really good handle on what your legal requirements are. And you have to understand the state authorities that are responsible for enforcing those. So here in California, we have all sorts of wacky ones. We have the Secretary of State, which is what most of them are in most states, that handles your LLCs and business formations. The CDTFA, or the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, handles sales taxes. The Franchise Tax Board handles income tax. Then we have our county, who handles our fictitious business licenses. If you're getting letters from other entities, you need to think, well, who are these people and why are they telling me I need to give them money? You second guess that. Another area where we often pay for BS when it comes to like formation of our business is with registered agents. So if you're not familiar, a registered agent is simply the person who's responsible for receiving service or process for you. So if a client ever wants to sue you, they have to, like, let's take this piece of paper as an example. It just got a bunch of names on it. These are my notes. They have to fill this out usually on a computer. It's called a complaint. They fill it out and they say who they're suing, why they're suing you, what happened, and they file it with the court. That's the complaint. And you, as the defendant to this lawsuit, you need to be notified that you're being sued so that you can respond in a diligent, prompt, timely manner, all of that. So they have to take a copy of the complaint to you and hand it, like you have to physically receive it, like in your hands. That's called service of process. You've probably seen this happen in movies. Your registered agent is the person responsible for receiving service of process on your behalf. So you can serve as your own registered agent, or you can hire a registered agent. So typically you would hire a registered agent if you, let's say you like live in New Jersey and you form your LLC in Delaware. You have to have a registered agent in the state in which your LLC is formed. So reason number one. Reason number two, you have to have an address for service of process. And some people don't feel comfortable using their home address for a service process for a variety of reasons. So you can hire a corporate registered agent. Now, some attorneys will serve as registered agent. I think that's a little overkill. If you already pay for an attorney, then it's great to have your attorney be your registered agent, because they're going to be the first one to get the legal paperwork. They're going to know what to do with it. They're not, hopefully, just going to like let it go unopened, which could happen if you're like me and you like to avoid your mail sometimes. You also can get a corporate registered agent just so that they are, kind of handling that. But you can also do this on your own. The beef I have and what we don't want to pay for is, again, one of these online services that's going to charge you a lot of money to do next to nothing. So I know in California there are great corporate registered agents that charge $50 a year for this service. Literally all they do is, if you ever get sued, they take the documents, they scan it, they send it to you, they notify you. They also will notify you of other documents they receive at the address as well. It's a pretty low stakes service. But some of our other popular online companies that do LLC formations for you and like make it so easy charge $300-$400, which I think is wild, out there, crazy, unnecessary. And I first learned about this when I used to do some one-on-one bookkeeping for some clients. We'd sit in the office, we'd be looking at all their expenses, going through their bank statements, filing the tax return, and I'd say, hey, what's this $400 charge to this popular company over here? And they'd say, I have no idea. I formed my LLC with them 2 years ago. I don't know why I'm still being charged. So we called the company and asked them, and they said, oh, that's your registered agent fee. And I asked them, I said, well, most of the time a registered agent fee is between $50 and $100 a year. What additional services are you providing for this 4 times as high fee? They couldn't really give me any great answers. So I decided, well, why would we be paying for that? If they can't justify the value, we don't need to be paying for that. So do not pay more than $100 for a registered agent. Do not pay anyone for your EIN. It's free and easy, all right? And don't fall for scams. The last one is your LLC formation. So this one is I'm a little bit more on the fence about. Close my notes here. Your LLC formation, you can hire an attorney to file your LLC. Definitely not a waste of money because there's certain critical steps that go in here, like getting a business operating agreement, getting meeting minutes. These are requirements that are often overlooked. An attorney will draft all this for you and hopefully include it in their scope of services. Nowadays, a lot of attorneys will do all of this for a single flat fee rather than just billing you hourly. And they should have a list of all the stuff they're going to do. So form your LLC, draft your operating agreement, draft your meeting minutes, update your business license, get your EIN. They should hopefully do all these things for you. The problem is if you go and use an online service to do your LLC, and that's all they're doing, you don't need to pay for that because it's like the EIN. You can do it online, not for free, but for a filing fee that you're going to be paying that company as well. So if you go to one of these online companies and they say it's $300 for your LLC plus $70 for the state filing fee, and then you pay that, they're going to ask, what's your name, what's your address, who's your registered agent, what's your business type, what are you providing? That's all the same information that the state would need, and you could just file your LLC through the state. The only time it makes sense to pay one of those companies is if they're giving you all the other documents that you need and some kind of guidance. But typically, that's not how that works. I had a great analogy from one of my students, Karen. Hello, Karen, if you're ever watching this back. And Karen told me that using an online service to get your LLC is a lot like going to the car mechanic. And I thought this was such a beautiful analogy because when I go to the car mechanic, I go for an oil change. I come back 2 hours later and they give me a list of $6,000 worth of repairs I need on my 2006 Mini Cooper. And God knows Meryl needs a lot of work. She probably does need all of those repairs. But I don't know, like, if I don't do this thing, is my engine going to explode or is this just going to help my fuel efficiency? Like, tell me how important all this stuff is. And when we go to do these online filings for our business, it's a similar thing. They're going to give us a whole list of stuff we can pay them for, but some stuff we definitely need, but we don't need to be paying for it. We could be doing it on our own. Some stuff we don't need and shouldn't be paying for. If anything, it's creating more complication in our business. Like I've seen people accidentally, oh, hi, Karen. Karen is here. That's so funny. Small world. Hello, Karen. So there are other things that we might be paying for that we don't need. So I've had students before who've used online filing services and accidentally formed a C corporation, or they've accidentally formed an S corporation, and now they have all these other requirements that they weren't aware of, because the reality is they shouldn't be forming an S corporation. And this is really the crux of my issue with these online filing services, is that they're only really good if you know exactly what you need. You have like a checklist of all the things that you need. But then the reality is, if you have a checklist of all the things that you need and you know what order you need to do them in, then you could probably just go do them yourself. So like either hire someone to do it for you or do it yourself with some help. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you found this educational. Usually I like to, when I do talks like this, I like to give people tangible takeaways. This is a little bit different because it's more of just a cautionary tale. But if you have questions, drop them in the comments. We can chat about it. And don't forget that we do our free live Q&As every Friday. So if you have any specific questions for me, if they're related to this video, you can pop them in the comments. But if you have any other general questions, go find our question collection thread, which we post every Monday morning here in the Braden's Besties Facebook group. If you're watching this over on YouTube or on the Facebook page, go join the Facebook group. You can ask a question, and then I will answer that on our Friday live Q&A, which gets recorded in the group for you to rewatch and also gets uploaded to the podcast. So thanks everyone who's here watching live. Drop me like a wavy emoji in the comments so I know who's here. And I can thank you all for coming. And I'll see you all on Friday or next Monday. Have a good one.